despite the school system being under emergency management, it's important to still be involved and make sure that we continue to fight for restoration of democracy and protect our public school system. So in my role as a liaison, I have met with individual charter schools. I've met with different coalitions organizing around education, from 424 to the Education Commission, to small groups of parents, the group taking action for our kids, to talk about different concerns, whether it be in private schools, charter schools, or in public schools. And so what we're trying to do on council is to pass a resolution essentially saying that we support the full restoration of powers of the Detroit Public School Board, that we believe that the Education Commission should also be elected and not appointed by the mayor nor by the governor, and that we support that teachers are being able to protest if they're working in unhealthy conditions, and to be able to advocate on behalf of their children. So that resolution has not come to the table, and when we do have the draft, we encourage you to come in to give feedback. I see that there's differing opinions on that, and that's just a draft, and I can't say that's the draft that will pass because there's a lot of different opinions on it. That's just what the initial draft says in it. But we are trying to make sure that although we as council don't have authority over the public school system or the school system in general in the city, that we do want to advocate on behalf of our students, and that's really what we're here for. I was a previous Head Start teacher. My sister used to teach at DPS up until the last year where she could no longer teach because she couldn't afford to make a living there, so she had to switch school districts. But I visit schools frequently. In the district I represent, I have over 52 schools, the highest concentration of kids in the city of Detroit, and so I try to stay connected to principals and teachers to be on the ground to hear what's happening. A separate issue that's kind of forgotten by a lot of folks, there was an attempt to remove the operators that operate the boilers in the schools, the engineers, which we know was going to put our children in danger, and so we pushed to support the engineers and make sure that our kids weren't going to be put in danger for that. It was in the law department, but it sounds like the operating engineers were successful in that, but we were definitely supporting the operating engineers because we know a lot of our schools are old and need engineers on site. So that was something that happened a little bit ago, but just an update on that. But again, support your work and appreciate all the efforts that you've been putting in place during this time under emergency management. It's definitely important, and we will try to be supportive in whatever capacity we can be. So thank you so much.
I want to hold on to the mic for just a minute. We got just a tidbit. We need to ask you something, Tawanna.
Yes, Councilwoman. Are you aware that the functions of a DEC? Because in your statement you said you all will support a fully elected school board as well as a DEC, but that's a contradiction because the DEC functions will take over the functions of the fully elected board.
Sure,
that is, opening and closing schools, general common enrollment, those type of things.
Sure, my understanding is the powers are a little bit broader, and that would also oversee charter schools. I know that's not in the legislation at the state level, but it would oversee all the schools in the city as a whole. So not just public, but charter as well as private. And I understand that people may not want that, but that's what was recommended by the coalition. And in terms of what we have hopes of getting passed, that is something that we're pushing to support. So, and that's just me as an individual. I may be wrong. Again, that's the draft resolution that has to come to council for a debate and conversation. And so that's yet to be decided. That may be removed from the final resolution that council supports.
Well, I just think that you should understand that this body does not support having a DEC, and there's no way that an elected board can have full powers with the DEC present. So I know that the buzzword is local control, but I think it's time that we have an honest conversation about what this system will look like. It actually will look like the governor. Then you will have a DEC will be over public schools and charter schools. Then you will have an elected school board over the debt in those schools. So asking for this elected board to have fully empowered over those schools make no sense. So I just want to make sure that you guys understand fully, opposed to just listening to what someone says, and it really sounded good. All the PowerPoint presentations all sounded good, but when you sit down and you actually think about what they are asking, or proposing, that's what it is, that the elected board will stay under the old code, which will be no schools in the debt and have an emergency manager. The new code will be a Detroit Community Schools with the newly elected board. But that group will also be over, the DEC will be over that group and charter schools. So we go, what we want from this board and our community is what every other school district in the state of Michigan has. Elected school board to appoint their superintendent and have the governor give us our money back. And if when you talk with the legislators, if you don't mind, I'll try to be there. But what a real honest conversation would be, talking about repealing PA 436, capping PA 277, which allows unlimited amount of charters in our city. So since we're talking about local mandates and local controls, maybe they can just cap those in Detroit and maybe take 2 or 3 years to study how we can coexist. But prior to that, we want what every other school district in the state wants.
Sure. And I think
The main thing, we're trying to let everybody know who the enemy is. You gotta know who the enemy is, because the governor and the DEC are not your friends.
Sure, and I think there's confusion, so just for clarity, I don't think anyone on council supports PA 436, nor the continued lack of regulation around charter schools. So I don't believe the coalition is supporting either the governor's proposal nor the mayor's proposal.
Yes, I was there, ma'am. I was at the hearing, and the PowerPoints they are supporting the DEC and they support new code, old code. And I can send you the link to your Facebook page or your email, and you can watch the hearing. And you can hear it for yourself. You don't have to believe what I'm saying to you. That's what they want, and that's not what we want. We do appreciate you coming here, and we do appreciate, wanting to support us, but to support us is to support us in the endeavor of having what every other school district in the state of Michigan has.
Yes. They want to control the money. Watch the money. Yes.
The other thing I'm not sure if you're aware of is that we had a referendum here. I can't remember the exact year. Ms. Moore, can you help me? That said the citizens of Detroit want a fully empowered school board and not be under the mayor. Do you remember the year that we did that referendum on the ballot proposal? 2005. So if you're not familiar with that, you might want to be familiar. We are a non-paid board. So we're not speaking because we personally want these things. We have a mandate from the citizens of Detroit to actually fight as best as we can for the rights of our citizens. And our citizens, ma'am, should be as fully empowered as every other citizen of every other city in the state of Michigan. Anything less than that is a sham, and we will continue to be subservient, i.e. slaves, new Jim Crow. So that's what I'm saying to you. I hope that you go back and get the link from member Simpson here and find out what's being said. These are all code words for simply, we're going to take care of you because we're going to have this group over you. We got a problem with the charter schools. They created all these charter schools. They decimated DPS. They wouldn't listen to the board. They didn't listen to parents. And some of the EMs actually told our parents, I don't care what you say, I'm closing these schools. I'm doing X, thus, and so. So I'm hoping that you'll go back and get more prepared, because if you're going to represent the city of Detroit, then we have to have exactly what everybody else in the state of Michigan have. Anything less than that is not good. It's not good for us, and it won't be good for you.
So thank you. We appreciate the feedback. But again, I do encourage everyone here to attend those city council sessions because it is a public forum. And as I stated, it's a draft. And there's many different people who are on opposite sides of the spectrum of the coalition. And so it's taken a while to get that draft. But that's what's in the current form. So if you contest and want to provide feedback, I encourage you to attend those city council sessions, as well as the city council sessions where the Detroit delegation will be present, as well as the CFO from DPS will be present. We're a strong believer that the more informed you are, the more informed decisions that you can make. So thank you so much.
Just one other thing. Were any board members from invited to participate in that event? Or are you only?
Which event? I told you the dates. I can restate the dates. There's not an event coming up. The Monday 15th, again, 9 a.m. is when the CFO.
But our question is, are the board members going to be invited to speak? We have a legal responsibility. We took an oath to protect this district. So I think that you and your colleagues and the public coming to those meetings should know what we know.
Right.
Okay, I'm not sure what your question is. All city council sessions, there's public comment opportunity.
The
Sure.
question is real simple. Are board members going to be invited to this meeting to speak? I don't want to come just to hear.
Sure,
I
so
would like to speak.
if that's a request, well, I can go back and ask council president, she sets the agenda. In
Okay.
general, the city council meetings,
Would you
just as
please
your,
do that?
sure, just as your meetings are open to the public and I'm here doing public comment, that's usually the format. If someone would like to formally speak and be a part of the agenda, then we can make that request. So
Well,
if we
Member
could,
Simpson is the liaison for the city council in Detroit
sure.
School Board.
So I think definitely reaching out to council president's office, we can also let her know that the request is coming. But yes, to formally make the request to be on the agenda on behalf of your body, from your body would make the most sense to do that. I don't have the authority to put you on the agenda.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
Really quick question. So are we gonna be specific in this ask? Do you all wanna be on the agenda for both meetings? Do you wanna be on the agenda for one? Because I don't want you to take it. Okay, and that's fine, that's not a problem. I don't want you all to take it as a slight, because this meeting really popped up last week in the midst of us digging deeper for answers. So that part I do wanna make very clear. So it is not a slight to you all, and we will have a conversation tonight to make sure that we can get you on both agendas. I don't see that that's a problem at all. So we will do that.
And I would just say in general, anytime the body wants to come and speak or present before council, it's just to make the request, and I don't see why it would be denied. So just moving forward. Thank you.
One last thing is, once we filed that lawsuit against the state, because they've harmed our kids, just like they did in Flint, and we're gonna be asking the city council to join us with an amicus brief to join us in this fight. So I just want to bring you abreast of what we're looking forward to do.